republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, February 8th. We're at the Mitchell County Courthouse for a Supervisor Board meeting. We have an agenda in front of us. Everyone had a chance to look through it. Need a motion to approve the agenda and a second?
I'll second.
Move to approve, second.
Okay, Jim has approved. Steve, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on. Item 2 is approve the minutes of the February 1st meeting and claims. Everyone's had a chance to look through that. If there's any corrections or additions,
Make a motion to approve the February 1st meeting and claims.
Mark has made a motion to approve the meeting and claims.
I'll second.
Todd has seconded. Is there any discussion on any of that?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Item 3, County Attorney General Discussion. So Aaron, you have
Gentlemen,
Morning.
don't have anything specific this week. Last week, pretty busy week with some juvenile matters, and it's not criminal matters last week. Kind of took some time, but I guess that's about it. I think I told you last week I was here. We were scheduled to have a Kephart hearing on Friday regarding a junkyard case. We had that hearing. Don't have a ruling yet, which I wouldn't expect to. But anyway, we had it. And I guess that's about all I have. If you guys have questions, let me know.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I have none. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet, thank you. Item 4 is Sheriff's update, but I don't see him here, so I guess we'll move on and he comes later. Item 5 is Department Head discussion. Is there any department heads that have a discussion?
I got a little.
You got a little?
No, I just want to say, we heard from the LSA, they need to change one section in Cedar Township to make, we were off by 2 people before. So I told the Secretary of State to go ahead with it, and that's all I've heard.
Okay. Is that
It was 11 people
11 people?
that got changed, yep,
So that's all good then? Or
for now.
for now? Okay.
I'll hear more.
I guess I'll mention something. So there's 2 things that are going down at the state. One has to do with wind turbine TIF stuff. I called Jane Bloomingdale yesterday about that, discussed that. The other thing has to do with local option sales tax and how the state wants to reformulate how income tax is done. And the Senate proposal is, the House isn't going to propose to do this, but the Senate proposal is that all counties in the state will contribute to local option sales tax. The thing is, and then what that'll do is that'll trigger the Outdoor Recreational Trust Fund, which is 3/8 of that cent. But they will take the money. We won't have the money here in this building anymore. It goes to the state, then they send it back to us. So I called Waylon about that yesterday, and the way he thinks it's going to work, it's not solved yet, it's not in law yet, but we would get that full 100% back. And my concern was, well, Waylon, we have that at our disposal whenever these 5 people want to use it. If we have something today that we say, $100,000 to do this with it, we can do that. And he said, so you have it in real time is what you have? And I said, yes, we do. So that's a concern, at least that's a concern for me.
Oh,
I don't think that we need to send our money down there so they can return it back to us. So
I read that same thing, and it's for the counties that don't have it now, they will have it.
yeah.
And then it'll be, a bonus for them, really. I mean, is kind of what they're looking at, I think. But Yeah, I agree.
They have a tendency to change things as time goes on and then maybe keep some of it if they
Well,
see a pot of
yeah.
money.
Yeah,
So, anyway, I just wanted you guys to be aware of that that's something that's going on.
Yeah, I seen that with the wind turbines too, that after, they're proposing after July 1st of 23, they're maybe not gonna backfill the school.
They're proposing to not backfill the school portion of it, but it has only thing to do with wind turbines.
Yeah.
And so I spoke with Jane, and this guy that's writing the bill, she's gonna talk with him today. His idea is that he doesn't feel wind turbines are actually economic development because they don't create jobs. And I said, that's totally wrong, because anytime you have an industry that comes to your county, whether it's wind turbines or what, it's economic development. It's money that's coming into the county.
Right.
And as far as the job creation, I don't agree with that at all. When I did my campaign thing, I went up to Statesville to where the wind turbine place is that they service them. They gave me some information as far as jobs that are created through wind turbines. I sent that to her yesterday, and she's gonna present that to that guy. So.
Yeah, wind turbines don't take care of themselves. They have a lot of service
No.
people taking care of them.
That's right. It's just because there's a guy standing underneath them doesn't mean it's, I mean, there's a whole industry involved with taking care of those things, so.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Anyway,
There is.
that's stuff that's going on.
Yep.
Keith might have had a question.
Keith, have a question?
Question on the local option. The title of it is local option. There's local option to levy that tax to use in your area. So why is the state trying to take it at all?
Because they want to, they've been wanting to trigger the outdoor recreational trust fund for years. And what that is that there's a lot involved with outdoor recreational trust fund, and it's a lot of good stuff. I like to see it happen, but in order to trigger that, there had to be a 1% increase in sales tax throughout the state. And when that happened, then they would capture 3/8 of that penny to fund the outdoor recreational trust fund. So what they're doing is they're doing a roundabout thing to activate that trust fund by capturing all the local option sales tax in the whole state. Did that make sense or not?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That
That's-
Yeah.
doesn't see the value of them.
It's,
Why don't they use their wind turbines and their tip money to support that?
Some
It is
counties.
an economic development.
I agree, yeah.
Some counties don't have wind turbines either, and if they do the local option
Well,
everywhere.
all the tax don't stay in Metro County either. It goes through.
Yeah,
That's why we need to hang on to our
Well.
local option or tip monies.
Get a hold of Jane and Waylon, discuss that with
I've been
them.
talking to Waylon about another thing
Yeah.
too. I'll give you-
It's kind of like the gas tax when that happened, and Josh did the gas tax thing. That penny for that gas tax didn't take into effect until the price of gas went down to a certain level. And then when it went down to a certain level, then they triggered the tax, and then the gas went up, and it stayed there. So to me, it's a sneaky way of collecting money.
It goes up and it never comes down.
Yeah.
Just like precious metals, and everything. And I don't think that Des Moines, Iowa has the best interest of Mitchell County and its citizens in mind. We need to fight to keep the things that we do have here.
yep.
I wish I could explain that the way they're doing it better to you, but maybe there's a good,
agree with it.
maybe there's a good reason I can't explain it, because it's the state's way of thinking, so.
If they want to fund that statewide, then come up with a way to fund it. other
Agreed.
than Take
Yeah.
our local option tax.
Agreed.
There's, the way I kind of read it too, there's some counties that don't have the local option, but they will have it now. The state will collect it and give it back to them. So they're gonna force it on everybody. What's that?
Even if they can collect it from them, though, they weren't the
Well,
ones to do it.
I know, it's kind of,
Yeah, I don't agree with that, that's why I call it, I don't
No.
like it.
but what we got is, it ain't broke. The system we got is working.
It ain't broke for us.
No, right, exactly.
It's a tool that works for us.
Well,
Correct.
Don't lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything? Okay, well, moving on, I guess we're to item 6, county engineer update.
Morning.
Morning.
Update Balsam Avenue Bridge.
They've got some of the falls work decking on. I think that they have kind of permanently moved out until weather is more conducive to work. What they don't want to do is, they got the decking in there, if they put the steel on it now, and then they get some good weather in the spring, then they gotta figure out how to get all the snow off the deck. So I think they're gonna leave it as is. When the weather's conducive to doing that, if they have snow on the decking, they can shovel it off without having to go around rebar and everything else, and then they'll come in and, they can get this done, they can get this project done, whether they've got the steel on it today, and then they wait for good weather, or it's only gonna take them a few days to put steel on it and then get ready to pour. So them moving out now is really not of a concern for anybody that I can see, that it's not gonna delay anything when the weather comes back, so. So that's project is there. So I had a conversation with WHKS on the 105 bridge, talking a few different things, and I know we mentioned last week I think it was, about funding for that bridge, and whether we use our HBP funds or our local funds. We had a conversation about, I told them, I said, I think that we want to pull the trigger on the temporary repair so that we can get the bridge back opened up, so that we can design a bridge without having any inconveniences. Then we had a further conversation about, well, what if we use local dollars, and I'm just throwing this out there, if we use local dollars, they feel that they can we don't have to follow the DOT's letting schedules, we can do it locally, they can have a design done probably in a couple months, have it let, and we can have a project going this spring on that bridge if we use local funding for it, and we wouldn't have to pay for the temporary repair. We could keep the traffic control the way it is for a few more months. Now, that all depends on contractor scheduling, obviously, too, but we've got a couple of different options here that we could save money, but we have to be willing to find another alternative funding source if we want to speed the project up. And then that falls into play with the conversation that I had you guys think about last week about not making a decision right away on motor graders, but got some numbers back from CAT on those motor graders. They're pretty favorable. They're around 253,000 for 2015 all-wheel drive motor grader with less than 2,000 hours on it, and all-wheel drive. So, budget-wise, and they won't be available till March or April, so as far as that goes, but they've only got a handful of these things, and if we really need to consider upgrading some equipment, used equipment right now, even new equipment right now is getting hard to schedule out. I've been getting emails the last few days with counties that have ordered new dump trucks over a year ago and haven't seen them yet. And it's the supply chain. I think and then on top of that, they ordered them last year, and the materials have gone up, and now they're getting additional costs because of material prices going up. So buying new right now is going to take us a while to get something. We still haven't received our new motor grader yet from our last letting, but something I think I want you guys to seriously consider is trying to trying to TIF Hickory, trying to TIF this bridge so we can get stuff moving, and then I've got money freed up for some equipment. And if that's not the case, we'll just keep working with the equipment we have, and we'll make the 105 bridge work with our HBP funds, and we'll just have a slower process to get it done. I guess it all kind of boils down to how fast we want to get stuff done, and then if we're using HBP funds for 105, I'll pull the Stacyville Bridge out of the letting so we have funding for that, because that one's a priority bridge when it's partially closed. So, and I know I'm throwing this kind of in your lap right now, but something we kind of don't want to just drag our feet on. But
How much money do you need?
well, if I'm looking at the estimates for the 105 bridge, and these are just estimates because we don't have an idea of what it's going to cost. But if we do the estimates that we've had for Hickory, the estimates for 105, it's probably 1.8 million.
Everything, or just both?
That's for both projects combined. And I'm going to guess that they're both estimates. At least I'm hoping Hickory is estimated kind of high at $900,000 because I think we'll see some favorable pricing. But the bridges, we don't know. Bridges prices have gone up so much in the last couple of years that
And with all this money coming from the feds now, our biggest challenge in this industry is we've got plenty of bridges to work on, plenty of money to do the bridges, but we don't have the contractors to do all the work. So we're either gonna pay a lot of high prices or we're just not gonna get the stuff done the way we need. So it's gonna take some time for the markets to settle out and where the contractors can get the help they need, but the way the market is, you gotta pay the people to come work for you. So now you're increased labor costs, now you're increased bridge costs, so we've got all this stuff and everything looks like it's good, but we got this bottleneck of the labor force now that's gonna make prices increase or just slow projects down. So while I can say that we can have a letting done for this bridge in April or whatever, April, early this spring, that doesn't guarantee that we'll have a contractor here to build it right away in the spring. So we're trying to be optimistic and saying we can get this project going, but we can still have it let a lot quicker than the DOT can, and so that will give us an opportunity to get a contractor in earlier. So I'm gonna have more conversations with the consultant, but if you guys don't wanna consider using any TIF for any of this stuff, then we'll just keep everything as it is, and I'll pull project and we'll just muddle through the way we are. I don't wanna say muddle, I don't wanna make it sound negative, but there's opportunities to maybe get ahead of the game and save some funding for some things, because we can't TIF for equipment. I know I've got an equipment budget for next year, but this kind of came up, and I can, if I can use some of the money I have now, I can still save that for some equipment next year too, so.
I think TIF's an excellent funding source, and it's used for purposes just like what you're describing, to catch up on things. I'd have no problem doing that.
I did have a
Not at
conversation
all.
with Waylon Brown about his idea on TIF too, and was down at the paving association workshop, and asked him what his opinion was on it, and he gave a pretty good opinion that it's a good tool. Just gotta use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Those motor graders, they're leases off the airport, aren't they?
I don't know where they're from. They're from all over. But
They
they-
usually have that every 2 years they come around, because the airports lease them, like Minneapolis and
Yep,
Rochester.
yep, they do. Some of the cities do have that lease program there for them, so they're
So
low-hour
this-
machines.
So, not saying this is a good program, but it's gonna come around every couple of years it comes around. It has for the last 20 years.
That's true, but if the market for new equipment's gonna be harder and harder, then these leased vehicles are probably gonna be a lot harder to get hold of. And it could be very well true. They haven't always given me this is probably one of the first years that I've seen this, where they've said, we've got these, do you wanna do anything with it? So, John Deere only gave me the offer of one, and now I've got an offer of 8 available. I don't know how long 8 available in this area is gonna last, but you're right, it comes around, but I don't know how frequently. So, and these are 2015, so they've been leased for the last 7 years and not getting a lot of hours for them, so. But our Volvos aren't getting any newer. Well, nothing's getting newer, but the parts are harder to come by. So we've got a little bit of time yet, but I don't wanna, if you're not willing to, that's fine. We can do other things and we can wait, but, for an all-wheel drive motor grader, a brand new one, a brand new all-wheel drive motor grader fully equipped is gonna be at least $100,000 more than these machines are. At least. With the snow equipment. So, and that was just the price without having any additional warranty. I can add another additional warranty on them for, depending if we want powertrain and hydraulics or just powertrain. It ranges from $8,000 to $14,000 per unit. And I'm not saying we're gonna buy 8 of them, but just to get a couple of them in the fleet would be helpful, but again, if we're gonna TIF, that's entirely up to you folks to decide whether we're gonna take that route or not. And we can shuffle things around to make the money work on other projects too. It's just,
But you're delaying things that need to be done by doing that also.
it happens, yeah.
I have a couple of questions, like, is there any timeline on that federal infrastructure money that's supposed
We
to be
won't
coming?
see it we won't probably see anything until late this year.
Okay. Then I have another question. Okay, the 105 bridge, one lane is good, the other
Well,
lane is not.
because of the abutment where it's
Yeah, where it's
deteriorated, they don't wanna put a load on it, but we can
Right.
put a temporary structure in there for, I think we estimated that.
What if you fix the one side to match the other side?
What's that?
What if you fix, okay, one half has been fixed at some point, correct?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought your one side was done at one point.
No, this bridge had old limestone back walls. The DOT came in and widened the bridge, so the bridge has widened. It's really goofy because it's kind of skewed in a way where one side is all limestone and then one side's concrete. On the other end, it's concrete on both sides. And so what we've got is the limestone back wall on the east side is completely deteriorated. The other one's starting to deteriorate. Fortunately, it's on the opposite. It's on the same side as what's closed now, so if there were something there. But the idea was to do a temporary fix, trying to put some sort of, paying for a design and constructing some sort of temporary support system to hold the beams up in case of failure. That way we wouldn't have a catastrophic failure. We wouldn't even know that there's a failure. We'd be monitoring, some small movement in the beams if the limestone wasn't holding anymore. Not a major caution or hazard to the public, but a cost to us to temporarily support it until we can come up with a design and the money to do the bridge. So what we were looking at is, can we speed the process up by not doing the temporary thing, getting a design done, but we still have a construction schedule that's very uncertain.
Yeah.
We can let it in April, maybe the contractor can't come in until the fall. And then we've got this one lane for the whole fall, but we still wouldn't have a project let through the DOT in that time frame either, so.
Well, and the other thing is, I have a concern with the TIF because if the state stops backfilling the school portion in July of 2023, and with all the debt we have currently, what's that gonna cost? What's that gonna do to us?
Right, and we had the conversation in Worth County yesterday at their board meeting too about TIF and.
That backfill quits, then we're responsible for it.
Right, and I don't know that how much, I don't
The
think.
previous ones are grandfathered in,
They are? I didn't
Yes.
read it that way.
That's what Jane said.
Oh, she did say that.
Yep.
Okay, because that was something that we didn't know about
'Cause
yesterday
that'd be a
either,
big
but-
game changer,
Right, and you're right, it could be a game changer, but any future TIF, we would know what we're expected, what we can borrow and what we know that the schools are gonna get off the top. We wouldn't be able to have, we wouldn't have as much available to the county to use because the schools would get their cut first, but
Yep.
we would then know how much we have. But at any rate, that's,
But they haven't passed that bill yet, have they?
No.
No,
So they
it's
could-
still
no, there's a
talking
lot of
about-
talk going on.
So they can change it any way they want yet.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Yep.
I never read the grandfathered in part. The way
You
I
can
took it
always-
is 2023, it's changing.
You can always be afraid of doing everything.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly, but you gotta be cautious too.
That's correct. Yep. Never move forward if you don't want to take the first step, so.
You gotta have a guaranteed plan too, so.
So anyway, I
That's
mean,
my philosophy.
you don't have to come up with an answer, but I've got more information for you to digest, I guess. And if we don't get equipment, we don't get equipment. I completely understand that, but stuff falls apart, the older it gets. Anyway, so,
Yep.
as far as the bridge goes, I guess what I've told WHKS was, let's just, and I've got another week yet, the engineer I'm working with is kind of still on vacation, but, we do have time to consider whether we want to, if we're gonna use HBP funds, our bridge funds, then it's in our best interest to do a temporary repair for that $82,000-$200,000. We don't know what it's gonna cost.
Like the deck is good. I thought you said one time you could maybe raise it up and put new walls under there. Is that an option or?
Well, now you're looking at a $300,000 to $500,000 cost. That's gonna get you maybe 15 years, and then the deck's gonna fall apart. The bridge is already over 60 years old, so, you design it for 80 years. Do we stick good money into bad, or do we just say, look, yeah, we know it's 60 years, 60-plus years old, and its life cycle's 80. How long is the deck gonna last yet? We don't know. Things look good, but things fall apart pretty fast when you can't see everything. So, do you stick half of the cost into rehabilitating a bridge for 15 or 20 years, or do you stick all the money into a new bridge that's gonna get you 80 or more?
Yep, I'm just.
Yeah, no, it's a good
asking
question. Yeah,
questions,
it's a good question.
And the temporary fix that you're talking with the beams, what's the timeline on that? Is that?
Well, again, we could probably get something that's not designed, but we have to get somebody in here to do it.
Yeah.
And so, we were hoping we could get the contractor that's doing our bridge work on Balsam to do it, because it'd be considered maintenance, it's not new construction, so we don't have to bid that. But they'd have to be able to be available to do it, and if we were gonna do something, we'd wanna do it rather quickly, because we don't want them to hit spring, and all of a sudden their bridge work just takes and explodes, and then they don't have time to do anything either, so.
Yeah.
They're probably getting their summer filled up too.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. So, I don't wanna
Okay.
raise the bell, or ding the bell and start waving red flags, but some things just need to kind of progress, otherwise we just miss out sometimes, but.
There's things that need to be done, it's that simple.
And on the grand scheme of things, equipment probably isn't a high priority, but sooner or later it does become a priority. And when the local dollars are the only things we can spend on the equipment, and TIF can't be used for that, that's the only tool we have to buy equipment, unless there's another fund somewhere that can pay for it, so. We've been fortunate. The TIF from 12 years ago has put us in a position that delayed the inevitable for this county and Worth County too, where 10 years ago, counties were turning seal coat roads to gravel because they couldn't maintain them. We don't have seal coat roads, but it's gonna be hard to take an asphalt road to turn it to gravel again and not totally get taken to the stake and burned, so. Correct. Anyway, so we do have, I got a schedule for Hickory Avenue. We need to set a public hearing date for that project, so if we can get that on the agenda for next week, we can set the bid letting and public hearing date next week, and we're hoping that can be the 22nd of February. And then, once that hearing date's done, we've got a schedule for posting plans and specs for bidders the following day. And then we'll have post to bidders and the bidding locations. We can do that before March 4th. Public hearing in the newspapers, March 2nd and March 17th. Probably have the bid letting, receive bids on the 17th and present the bids to the board on the 22nd of March. And hold the award and hearing an award of the contract in March of 29th and approve the contract, the 22nd, approve the contract the 29th. We can have a pre-construction meeting as early as April 12th. So.
What did you say about the public hearing?
I'm sorry, there's so many public hearings. The public hearing, we want to set a public hearing date next week officially at the
Next
board
week.
meeting. We'll set the date for that to be the 22nd of February.
22nd of February.
So if you do it, if you set it next week, it won't go to the paper till 22nd, 23rd. It's like a week. Takes a week to put it in there. So that puts it at what, March 1st and 2nd?
Let's see. We can't set the hearing today. We can't set it for next week because we haven't put it on the agenda to set the public hearing date for next. So next week we have to officially set the public hearing date for the following week. So you can, so you're saying putting it in the paper?
So you can set it next week. Do you have to put it in the paper?
I believe we do. Well, let's see, it says notice of public and hearing in paper between March 2nd and the 17th. Why don't I get back to you on that for clarification? And then I can put it on the agenda properly.
Yep.
But this is what we're forecasting, to have a public, to set the public hearing date, I'm sorry, to set the public hearing date on February 22nd. So that's the date we'll set the public hearing date for March 17th to receive bids, I think. We'll talk about it next week.
Go over that with Rachel.
Yeah, we'll go over that with Rachel. The bottom line is we're looking at a bid letting, March 17th to receive bids and then approve them the 22nd. So we can get that project moved forward.
Be good.
And I think that's all I've got for you this morning. I
It
think so.
was, I was wondering, that Glass Avenue where they complained about the snow on the road, did you give, I mean, I drove up there and looked at it, and the ditches are clear, so it's obvious that come from the hog site, and they piled it there.
I didn't go up there, and I guess,
Yeah, I did, I took a couple pictures I could show you.
I mean-
but it's, yeah, I think they should just be told, don't pile it on the road, it's not.
and then we run into the problem of we're not plowing it, they get stuck. Now they're,
No,
But-
I mean, they realize it's close.
and I wouldn't guarantee that we're not even helping piling it up there if we're plowing that one
Yeah,
way.
I mean, the ditch, there was no piles on the sides of the road, so
Okay.
I'd say, in the front of them buildings was all clear, and you could see they pushed it over.
And maybe they just do it, we
So,
don't, but
uh,
I didn't go up there, I was,
Yeah, I just did, just 'cause curious what,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just following up on complaints, just
Yep,
doing
no,
my
that's
job.
fine.
That's what I'm supposed to
Yep.
do.
In regards to getting stuck in the middle of the road, we used to just have caution to enter at your own risk, level B road
Mhm.
up there, and some of these that we didn't plow them.
Yep.
Well then, as Rich said, we started having people drive down these and getting stuck, and even if there was an older guy that got stuck in one of these, and it ended up being his grandson felt it was a serious situation because he's down this road by himself. That led into the thing where we started buying signs that said road not plowed, so people were totally aware that
Mhm.
don't go down that road. And then the guys also started to put snow at the ends of these things so that
Because
don't go
some
down
people
that
would
road.
still drive down them and there'd be a path, so everybody thought you could still get through, then they'd get
Yeah.
stuck halfway through and there's nobody around, so then we did pile snow on the road to keep people off of them, but.
people go down there in the middle of the night, get stuck, and yeah, you can just say, well, people have cell phones. No, not everybody has a cell phone. This guy didn't have a cell phone. So it is a situation where you don't want people down those roads.
And the other option, I guess, is to put a type-3 barricade at the end of the road for the winter time so that they, you know, that,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's a non-issue. It's a road we don't plow, nobody should be on it. And
You know,
whether
the road
there's-
east of me is one of them too, and people use it 2 miles east of me. I mean, people use it all the time.
And they're at your own risk. So,
Yeah, and it's not, you know, people get through it. I mean,
So do you want me to
I
tell them
don't
not to pile snow? I guess I can.
What's that?
I can tell them not to pile snow on the road. I guess to
Well,
me it's not.
you know, I mean, if it shouldn't be, it's a road. I mean,
It is, but it's
I
a
mean, they
road
can
not
pile it
plowed,
at
so
the
the
end.
hazards, but yeah, then it'll take longer for the road.
I
I'll
don't-
send them a
I-
letters, or we'll ask them to not plow, put snow
Yeah,
on there
I
because
mean,
it just takes that much longer for it to melt off.
I mean, the people that have a complaint at a point, you know, they're piling on the road right away. Well, you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. You know?
No, not if it's
Well, I know, but I mean,
temporarily
it's-
closed, but yep, you're right.
Yeah,
We'll tell them.
I don't know. I asked the sheriff about it too, and he said, yeah, it shouldn't be, it's a road. He could write a citation, but we don't wanna go there, you know, I mean,
No.
that ain't,
Let's just open all the level Bs up and to maintain them as normal and just spend a lot more money.
That's
on
your
it.
guys' decision.
Question,
No, I
question
just-
solved.
just leave them alone and just don't pile snow on them.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
they don't need to go there. It's just a matter, they piled snow on the road, it's a road right away. It shouldn't be, you know?
Okay.
It's that big of an issue other than people. The law, you know? I mean, anyway.
Okay, we'll tell them not to plow snow on the road. All right,
All right, whatever, I don't know. Going farther than it needs to, but whatever.
we'll get it, we'll get it.
Yep. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Rich?
All right,
No? Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Item number 7, we have discussion and possible action on insurance, partial self-funding.
Can we go to department head discussion one more time, because there's something I forgot to mention to you guys. So,
Backing up.
we have the bid, receiving the bids for the HVAC system tomorrow here. I'm just wondering if we don't need to all be here. I am going to be here. How many people want to attend that? Because if it's going to be 3 of us, then we're going to put an agenda out for it.
What time is it?
The bids are to be received by 3 o'clock, and they, at the auditor's office, come down here, open them at 3:05. It doesn't matter to me, I just wanted to plan.
You can handle it, I'm fine with it, I don't need to be here.
I can come if.
Whatever you guys want, I just wanted to know.
Jim's trying to do this so that we don't have to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's county business, and if there are 3 of us, then it's a meeting. So that's why I just want to know if we're going to post this or not. I don't care.
Can the public come anyway?
I suppose if there's a notice posted, then the public can come here, but it's not like it's secret or anything.
No, just through the school, we did, it was a public thing, and we did have people come.
Okay.
So I don't know if we should just post it anyway. What do you think?
Probably wouldn't hurt to post it.
Okay.
could you look, and you think you might,
Yeah.
I would just post it.
Okay.
That
Okay.
way,
I had a conversation with Andrew yesterday, and he said that, there's a lot of job, and Rich kinda related to this too, that there's not enough contractors to do all the work. And so, we might be happy with any bids we receive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way.
That's the way of the world now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we will post that then, okay?
Okay.
And you received the bids and you gotta bring them down here, so you're gonna be around. Good.
Just bring up on our building system.
Today, okay. Anyway, for our county storage shed too, I did receive one bid for installing heat in there.
Okay.
So Resner, 105,000 BTU heater from Adams Plumbing. So I do have one bid. It'd be nice to have another one, so
Okay.
I don't want to say how much it is, 'cause
No. No.
but I don't know if Dave's working on one too, so.
All right.
Anyway, if anybody out there's listening and interested in it. Okay, anything else to do with department head discussion? No? Okay, moving on, we got item number 7, discussion and possible action on insurance, partial self-funding.
Okay, we'll see how this goes. Didn't go too well with the local option sales tax, 3/8 this explanation, so we'll see how smooth this goes.
Okay.
So we had an insurance meeting, the 5 of us, and the insurance company somewhat said that we're the only county in the ISAC pool that does not have a partial self-funding plan in place to fund what we pay for the buy-down of the, what I call the 80-20 plan. You guys have this sheet in front of you,
Yep.
so we're the only one that doesn't have that. They suggested that we do create that. Also, they said that what we contribute to the HSA plan is quite healthy compared to what they feel it should be. So I created all of this, and they said that at one time they said a target should probably be Mitchell County contributes 90% to the partial self-funding plan, and the employees contribute 10% to it. So using that as some numbers, I don't know how deep to get into this. I assume that in order to create the partial self-funding plan, I suggested to the auditor's office that they create a 5-year rolling average as far as what has been contributed to that in the past. Use that number to know what the amount is for that year, and then the county would contribute in the 90% range, the employees would contribute in the 10% range. So the employees would contribute for a single plan around $5 per paycheck for that partial self-funding. A family plan would contribute $7 per paycheck to contribute to that plan. The rest of the buy-down would be for what the county contributes based on that 5-year rolling average. And then in order to tie the two together, this is complicated, so I don't know if I'm explaining this right or not, but it's, to tie the two together, I divided one by the other, and the HSA is,
The HSA costs more than the other one.
the HSA premium is more than the other one because it has a lower deductible. But the county has that partial self-funding plan that creates rather than a $5,000 deductible for the 80-20 plan, it buys it down to $1,000 deductible. So that amount actually has to be added to what the premium is in order to have the actual premium. I'm going in circles here, and I'm sorry. It's just hard to explain.
Yeah.
So, this is what I'm recommending. I'm recommending that the HSA contribution is based on 15% of what the actual partial self-funding plan is based on the 5-year rolling average. And that means nothing unless you have this sheet sitting in front of you. But that's what I'm proposing. And the employees contribute the single plan, the ones that are on the 80-20 plan, they would contribute $5 per pay period. If you have a single plan, if you have a family plan, you would contribute $7 per pay period. The employees are sharing in the load as far as what health insurance is costing, to some effect. Any questions?
Yeah, so like the SHA premium is higher than the other one, so would you lower the HSA portion that the employee gets per month?
Currently the HSA employees receive $216 a month
Yep.
towards that plan, and that's where that 19% came in. So I based it on using 15%. It would come down, using this as an example, the $45,000 that was put into the one plan this year, that number would come down to $170 a
Per
month.
month, so that you would lower that also too.
That would be lowered also. But that may go up or that may go down
Yeah.
based on what that 5-year rolling average is.
That brings the cost to
13.6, correct, on that plan per year?
13.6 is when you, again, this is
That's
an example, just so
Yep.
you have an example to go by. But the premium this year for the 80-20 plan is $12,600.
Yep.
And if we, only one way to do this is to say it, so if we contributed $45,000 for the partial self-funding plan, if you have 45 people on that plan, that means $1,000 per individual went into that plan. So you add that to the 12.6, that gives you your 13.6.
13.6. You're trying to even up the two plans so they cost the county the same.
Trying to get
At
them.
the end of
so
the
that-
day.
Yeah, so they're tied together and they, yes,
Yep, I understand.
good.
Got that, Steve?
I'm sorry, it's
No.
just,
And then you'd refigure it again in 5 years?
no, every year the auditor's office would, Rachel came up with this $45,000 and she averaged the last 5 years of what we've put into that partial self-funding. What we've paid for employees for that deductible to be lowered. So next year, they do it again, but the back year would drop off and you just use the current 5 years.
Oh, I get
And then
it.
the current 5 years, and then the current, so then.
To determine
Yeah, and then the average, that way it's not just 1 year's average where you have this spike and then you have this low. It's more constant. And then we have this fund that they suggested that we create in order to pay these costs.
So, okay, you have the HSA at a cost of, if you lower it, it'll be at 13.6 per employee approximately. The other one's gonna be,
The 13.6 is for the 80-20 plan.
well, but if you lower the contribution, the other one will be at that too, correct? They'll both be at 13.6
No, they won't. No, they won't.
as far as cost for the,
No, the HSA is still gonna end up costing more.
it is.
But people have to realize that the HSA, those individuals have a lot more risk in regards to a lot of these expenses that are coming right out of their pocket. And if you let's just say you wiped out the HSA contribution altogether. Well, then there's no benefit for the employees to be in that plan.
Correct.
You're gonna have everybody go to the 80-20 plan.
Yep.
And then you're gonna have a partial self-funding plan that's even a lot more, because you have a lot more people utilizing that plan. So, yeah, the HSA costs more, but in the long run, if you had everybody in the 80-20 plan, I'm assuming it's gonna cost you more anyway. There's no way of knowing that.
No, there's no way of knowing.
You said you're the last county, what are the other counties in ISAC doing for self-funding?
As far as a plan, I don't know. Some of them, what he suggested, he sent me this, he wanted the employees to, he had two options. One was, where was it? Well, one was, I think the employees would put in $50, and the other one was $90. But, so he wanted them to contribute significantly to this partial self-funding plan, and I was not for that. Because that's been my whole thought, that why do we have a buy-down program if the employees are just ended up paying for it in the long run anyway? They might as well just have a regular policy.
Yeah.
So we're not contributing to the extent that he wanted. So I don't know what other counties are doing. I don't have that answer.
If the HSA plans, it's still gonna cost the county more money per person per year based on the 80-20. Maybe everybody could contribute to 5 and 7 to help fund it. They're still getting it. You know, provided you don't use it, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, these are just some ideas.
Yeah, I don't know.
Come up with some numbers, that'd be all right.
Because $5, well,
That's what Jim has proposed here.
but no, but just on the $5 is just on the 80-20 plan, not on the other, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. But the other plan actually costs the county more money in the end of the day too, right? The HSA plan is still gonna cost the county more money even by doing
The
this.
premium is more for the HSA plan.
Yeah,
Yep.
so maybe if everybody pays the 5 and 7, that'll help even the playing field a little better, and it'll help fund the, I don't, do you have any thoughts on any of that, Rachel, or? Or
I'm
you're just
good
being,
with what
you're
you
the
said.
silent partner, or silent, or not partner, but silent? I don't
It
know.
looks like it's more expensive, but if everyone was to max out that premium, or like that $1,000 to the 5,000,
Yeah.
that adds up real fast for the county.
On the 80-20
So you
plan?
do wanna keep people on that high deductible,
Okay,
my opinion, I don't know.
okay,
And
so you want to,
I agree with that, it's hard to explain that.
It is.
Yeah.
But,
It's, I agree with what he's saying.
yeah, okay, I just,
Short version.
you know, throwing it out there for, you know, because it might, if you have to pay, people might swing the other way then. You know, I don't know if that's a good or,
well, if they swung the other way, you'd have a lot more use in that 80-20 plan, and
I mean, if they had to start paying $5 a paycheck, they might go to the other plan that's free, and then if that one actually costs the county more money at the end of the day, then looking at it that way, but,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it's, I mean, they haven't been even for years, so.
Well, these are some ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know what,
I don't know what we want to,
do we have action on this, or are we just talking about this, or what are we doing?
Possible action.
Possible action?
possible action.
And if you plan on doing something, it'd be nice, so I can put it in the budget, because I have to have that sent into the papers tomorrow,
Tomorrow?
during that cycle.
Well, I would make a motion to approve what Jim has explained, even though in some areas I'm confused as to how it's a plan, it's a start, and I think it'll work. So I would make a motion to approve how Jim has described this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, none of it makes sense, but
Well-
not your fault either. It's just,
It's something
It does.
I had a little better understanding of it before.
No,
I understand what it's supposed to do, and I think it'll work.
it'll help, yes.
It'll work.
Well, it'll work, yes.
So I would make a motion
Steve made a motion
to this effect.
approve to this effect. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Jim has seconded. Any more discussion on this?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Okay.
I do have a question. So how will this affect like a 30-hour person who has, right now, a 30-hour person pays so much? So
Towards
will
it.
that add another 5 or to theirs, or will it just affect the 40-hour people?
I figured anybody that's using the plan will end up, it'll be
Okay.
part of them to pay.
So it'll add the 5 to what they're already paying?
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
And then that 5 will go into that fund for the self-funding of the,
That's if they're on using that
That is
80/20 or it's actually it's actually the 11E plan, but
the original plan that we had.
Yeah.
and it's pretty much split between the two, correct?
Yeah, it's about half. They did say though that is a good plan not to get rid of it, just to clarify. Even though it does
Yes.
cost more. They say not
because we can go to Rochester.
to. Right,
A lot of the other ones can't go to Rochester.
correct.
What we could end up, if we continue to go, we'd end up with less, benefits. So I think this will work, what we have just approved.
Sorry I didn't explain it real well, but.
No.
Well, it's
I-
hard to explain.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. We got item number 8, discussion and possible action on department budget requests. So, who wants to talk on this one?
I would assume this is.
Well,
Anybody?
I can bring it up. I called Laura so she knew that what we were gonna be doing here. She wasn't aware that we were gonna be discussing, so.
I did not, I appreciate the phone call.
Yeah.
Hadn't been in the so I wasn't planning on being here, so.
Yeah, I don't like being blindsided, and I don't think you do either, so we need to know what's going on here.
Thank you very much.
Yep. You guys chime in, so
Okay.
when you submitted your budgets to us, the one line item budget ends up being $55,000 higher than what last year's was. So I guess we just are kind of curious. And there's 7 people that are involved with that line item. That comes to $7,857 per employee. And if you have, that's over and above the $1.46 that we already approved. The $1.46 would be a little bit over $3,000 with that $78.57. That ends up being per employee a $10,893 a year increase. So just not understanding that.
Yeah, I have a good breakout of how I came up with that number, so if you want to pass that
Mhm.
around. So yeah, we have 7 nurses, and I looked to see how, if most people are 40-hour people, but some are PRN. So I figured how many hours that I'm expected them to work, what they've been working. It's hard when you're dealing with home health because, it depends on how busy you are, how much we use the PRN and things like that. So I have how many hours, they're working, I have the cost of living raise, and then that 10-cent raise that the agency has, that the Board of Health has, that gives our nurses. So it comes up with their wage, how many hours, I plan on having them work this year, and that's how I came up with $372,556. And so, I budgeted for $375,000, so it's just under $2,500 over from, with an estimate. So I do plan on having a, nurse probably retiring in the next year, so that's not leaving too much cushion, to be able to train in another nurse. So in reality, it's, kind of the bare minimum. So. Does anybody have any questions on the sheet that I handed out? So that, I mean, I don't just throw numbers out there.
Yeah.
This is exactly how I came up with the numbers.
I guess just looking last couple of years, it's 320, 320, and then it jumped way up, so
Yeah.
I guess that's why. Like this year at the 320, do you expect to be at that, or are you gonna, or do you think it'll be more?
It really honestly depends on how, what our census is for home
Yeah.
health, and how much we use our PRN, and if we have overtime, or, you know,
Mhm.
what things we fall into, it's hard to determine. So, I mean, that's, it, you can see our full-time equivalent is 5.76 nurses. We have about 95 home health patients, and then all the public health, so we're dealing with just under 6 nurses, with that line item.
Yeah, the previous year you will end over 9,000, so I suppose you had more clients or whatever, but.
It all depends, you
Yep.
know. But the number I definitely have justified there with these numbers that I just handed out with you, so that's exactly how I figured it. And we're a staff-driven revenue. If our nurses aren't working, I can't bring in revenue, so.
Yep.
Sherry.
I just wonder if I could make a quick comment, just not as an employee, but as a citizen of Mitchell County. If it's in the budget, or if it's doable, I feel like public health, just me personally, I feel like public health has done so much this year. And the crisis that we are seeing our healthcare workers under right now, and especially with the instance of traveling nurses. And nurses right now can leave their current job, go on and be a traveling nurse, make 3 times as much money, and come back to those same hospitals. I would hate to see Mitchell County suffer and our home health suffer, because if we lose these nurses, now, this is all brand new information to me, so I'm not sure the budget or any of this, but if it's in the budget, as a citizen, I encourage you to really consider making this happen. I would just hate to see our public health system suffer here in Mitchell County. We have done amazing things, and I think through this pandemic, we have really stood out among counties in North Iowa for having an amazing system in place. And so if we can make this work for them, I really would support it. And that's just my own personal statement on it.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's just, we looked through all the budgets, and I guess this one caught somebody's attention that it was higher, and you know, was it a typo, was it, you know, I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yep,
No.
and I understand the questioning, it showed the justification, so.
Yep, yeah.
Yep, that's how I come up with those numbers.
Yep,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it looks in order to me. Yeah. But,
Yeah, when you first look at it, you come up with that, we really don't want to be giving people $10,000 raises, because it would be a raise, and it's not,
or did you?
so.
No, I'm not giving them that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's how it computed this way, and so, explanation. That's why we wanted an explanation.
No, 10 cents, and $1.46, so, yes. I don't just throw numbers out there, so this is how I come up with numbers.
Okay.
So we can take the 375 down to 373, or?
No, I don't wanna take it down.
If she has a nurse retired and has to
Yeah,
train, she's gonna need
honestly,
extra.
$2,400 isn't even gonna touch what it is gonna be to train another nurse in, so, as far as any cushion, that's very little, so, I don't plan on bringing it down from 375,000.
Well, I'd say it looks in order to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
All right. We don't even, okay, so we just move on to item 9 then, correct? We don't- Or do we need a motion or action? I guess it was just,
Is this when you actually approve the budgets, or when you guys officially approve? It goes to the board and then they approve?
Yeah, so, I mean, nothing they want, we can do now.
Okay.
Then I send the next levy, and then I'm supposed to approve. Then after that, send the whole levy.
well, so we don't need to take any action on that. All right. So we'll just move on to item 9, which is meetings attended.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
Nothing.
Me either.
No?
Todd, it's up
Me
to you.
either.
Oh, okay, so it's been a quiet week, so that happens once in a while. Now we're down to public comments. Is any public? Yes.
I have a big public comment. This 1% sales tax thing and the tip, both are items that benefit us both. Instead of wondering what the state bottom is going to send to us, how much they're going to give back, and then take what they already have given us. Our local option tax supports our school. So if that goes away, the city has to come up with a lot of money to cover that loss. Likewise with tip, it is, when they started this home windmill thing, that was one of the biggest selling points of it. They put it on tip, to be able to use it for economic development. We should be hollering like hell at the state for trying to legally steal our money from the collaborator.
Yep.
Instead of waiting to see what they're gonna do or what they're gonna turn back.
Yeah.
I would like to see a groundswell of local people get a hold of their representatives and senators and ask them what the heck is going on. Because that's all it is. The state sees money that they can grab, if they just change the law. Break the treaty with us Indians, we're gonna be just fine. I don't agree. That's my stance. We need to have a louder voice at the local government. The feds aren't gonna help us. If the state gets this money, they're gonna put it where they want.
Correct. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I feel very strongly.
Can I
Yeah.
add to that? Or
Yes.
did you? Go ahead.
No, I agree. It's, we need to absolutely get a hold of your representatives and voice your opinion, because that
We
money,
need to do it as governing bodies, too.
Yeah.
correct.
So I'd like to add to that a little bit. So for the last 40 years, the people in Iowa have whined about how we lose our young people. We're losing our young people. How, they just keep moving away. They go to urban areas. We're losing them. How do we get them back? So then the state creates tax increment financing that's an excellent tool for rural Iowa to use to end up building things up in rural areas so we can get some of these people back and these people will live in rural areas. Because it's working, that's right. A lot of money ends up going to Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, and I could just say the same thing. Well, why is my tax dollar going to the center of Des Moines to build up slum blight areas in Des Moines? Doesn't do any good for me. So when they create a plan that can help rural Iowa, and then now they say, well, we're putting a little bit too much money into that, I think we're gonna kind of change that and take some of that away. I got a big problem with that. I don't like that. So you kind of lit my fuse a little bit. I agree with that. And I called both of them yesterday and sent them both emails too. I mean, it was a very polite conversation with them, but no, I let them know that I don't like that. So I wanted to add to your comment. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, I've talked to some people too, and on the TIF thing, they told me that counties that are using the TIF, and that's why they're not using it for what it's intended for, and there's no TIF police that regulates it, and so that's kind of the impression I got, that,
Oh.
well, that's why they're changing things. 'Cause
Well, as Jane told me yesterday, a lot of people down in Des Moines are tired of sending out $900 million for school backfields throughout the state. And my answer to that is, I really don't care, because you guys invented the program, and it's something that benefits rural Iowa, so I could care less that you're sending that money out. I think it's a good thing, because it's not that, we're using it.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that argument. They
I
just don't want to
I
pay the
don't
money.
either. I'm just saying that's the response I
Yeah,
got.
I'm sorry, I get worked up
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
'cause
no,
I think it's a big deal.
Yep, I do too, that's,
Okay.
but anyway. Is there any more public comments? Okay, yes?
Dana?
Yeah, back to this bridge thing, mainly the 105. As a spectator, I question if it's a wise use of money to put a Band-Aid on it, that is probably in a couple of years going to get ripped off. And I know there's not a lot of money to do things, but if this tip is a viable option, why not use it? I'm wondering what the downside of it is, other than maybe you're talking now
The school
about
times, yeah.
them changing the rules,
Yeah.
but we can't hide under a rock thinking everything's gonna happen, because we can't do anything because it's gonna change the rules. But it will allow people to, or it will allow you people to do other projects that also need doing. I know this is a sort of surprise deal like this 105, but it needs to be dealt with.
Yep.
And throwing good money after bad by, like I say, putting a Band-Aid on and then redoing anything in my personal life. If I tried to save a nickel by half-ass doing something, and then down the road it cost me a dime,
Yep.
it's,
Yeah,
bite it and do it right the first time.
Yeah.
If you can't afford to do it right the first time, how can you afford to redo it?
yeah. Well, I'm just asking what the options were, I mean,
Right.
just, so, yeah, I agree, it needs done right, but,
Well said.
yep.
But the sad thing, there's probably gonna be more bridges come afloat, because all our bridges are getting age to them, and
I understand.
this isn't the first one that's gonna come up at the
Right.
forefront, so we're pretty much in trouble.
Right.
But Joe Biden said 2 weeks ago, he's gonna fix every bridge out there.
No?
That was on Saturday morning,
And I've got a bridge for sale.
Print some more money.
Well,
that's all he's gonna
there's a
do.
lot of money out there for bridges, it's just how the heck do you get it here?
Yeah.
We have a local option here that's viable, why do we want to throw it away? We don't want to do it.
And Mike, you said, talking to people in other counties or whatever, and not done things right. I think Mitchell County has wisely done what they've done.
What, you mean with the tip?
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Yep.
I would agree.
Okay, any other comments from anybody? Pretty quiet, so, moving on, I guess we'll need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Jim's
Second.
made a motion, Todd has seconded it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?